Well, my first, let's say, meeting with chess was literally when I was born, because when I was born, my grandfather came to the hospital, and he came with a chess piece. It was a white knight, and he asked people, like the doctors, to give it somehow to my mom, and then so that my mom gives it to me. So actually, yeah, from the very first day of my life, I am touching the pieces and I am in contact with chess. And that's like the very, very beginning. But as Milan, as you have mentioned, yeah, my dad is an amateur player, but both of my chess players, they are chess players themselves. And they were playing before I was born and later on my sister. But after that, they started to be chess coaches and they are still working as chess coaches up to the present moment.
Great.
So yeah, they had this idea that it would be interesting to teach us to play chess, and they are chess players, and see what happens. So with this, I was taught how to play chess very, very early. I don't remember it well, but they say that when I was 3 years old, I knew all the chess rules, including the more difficult ones like en passant or how to castle correctly, and I could play a proper game. I don't remember that, but my first memories, and this I do remember, is when I played my first tournament. It was the local tournament in the city where I lived. I was 4 years old, and this was the tournament for kids who were a bit older than me. And I think it was some local championship under 10. But I have good memories about it. I remember like how I was coming to the club and how I was playing. I don't remember the games from the from that period, but I remember this atmosphere. And what was really important for me, and this like really good memory, is that I was a prize winner. I don't know how I managed that, but I didn't win the tournament, but I finished second or third because in the end I got a diploma. And this diploma was so memorable for me that when the tournament finished, I told my mom, okay, now on the way back home, we don't go by bus, but we go on foot, and I'm keeping this diploma, and so that everybody can see that I won something. For me, it was like so important, and I was so proud of this huge achievement as I saw it at that time. So yeah, this was like the first story and the first tournament I remember, and then of course I had many, many more.
Being a father of a 4-year-old now and a 1.5-year-old, I know how proud they are and it is whenever they get a medal or something. Uh, we just went to Legoland and my son won a medal for something. He's very proud of his achievement, but you actually
Great.
made a real success in a proper tournament. And just to clarify one thing, maybe it's not familiar to all of the participants, is that this diploma, I know that FIDE in events, we often award people with diplomas. And I realize that for many people in the West, it's a bit strange because you get a diploma if you finish university or finish a certain level of education or something, but not when you win a tournament. But actually, in Eastern European countries or former Soviet countries, that's part of the tradition, the culture. You get a diploma as a way of recognition for your achievement, in addition to the trophy, the medal, whatever. So that's it's just called it basically it's a certificate confirming your achievement. So it just happens to be called a diploma. So if anyone is confused a bit about that. Um, but no, this is interesting, and obviously that's how it starts. And given that your parents, there are two roles a parent has in life in practical terms, but also in your case, clearly from a professional perspective, being a parent and being a coach. Now, for you and your sister, you had both in one. How difficult was it? Obviously, you were young, so you didn't maybe think about that much at that point. But how difficult was it to make a division between, you know, when you're angry with your mom and dad about something, and yet you're not, that has nothing to do with chess, but you still have to be coached. How was that line between chess and parenting, or being a child and a prodigy of a chess coach?
Oh yeah, actually, it's a very interesting question, but to be honest, I didn't think so much about it, as you know, it was from the very beginning of my life, and it was like going without a choice, if I may say so. But now I started to think, and I started to remember, to recall some of the things. So obviously, yeah, it was different because if you have a coach, yes, you behave a bit differently. There are some pluses and there are some minuses. For example, in my case, most of our trainings we had at home, but also I was attending a chess club where my parents were working. So, um, yeah, for example, if you're working at home, obviously you, like if it's your mom or your dad, you don't have so much of a choice. Yeah, you have to do what they tell you to do. Comparing to, for example, if you're going to some lessons somewhere, then yeah, you may be, let's say, less focused, or you may allow yourself to be less focused. But at the same time, the good thing is, for example, that when I was going to the club, and one of the topics, actually a very interesting topic, is that there are not so many girls who start playing chess comparing to the boys, to the number, yeah? Like when you are entering any chess club, you see like, well, maybe 10 to 1, yeah, like 10 boys, 1 girl, or 9. It's like the difference is very big. But in my case, I didn't feel that it's something wrong because I'm coming with my parents. And okay, even though I am the only girl or we are just a few, I don't have like some strange feelings because, okay, I have my parents here, so I'm not alone. I didn't think about it, but now when you asked, I started thinking, and yeah, it's like, well, there is always something good and something bad about every side.
No, but that's an interesting perspective that obviously it's a very well-known issue in the chess world, a question rather than an issue about the finding the increasing the participation of women and girls in tournaments. For general knowledge, research has shown that while the uptake in early stages is high and significantly increasing now among girls as well, the problem is when the puberty hits about 13, 14, 15, and then social groups form based on some other personal interests and character traits. And it has been noted that then chess suffers as a sport among girls and women, that the uptake is lower there. But this is an interesting point you made that, and it might turn out to be very important when later when you look about your career, think about your career and look at it. But the fact that you had your mom and dad present there was probably, now, if I understood you correctly, was as you clearly said, it was a significant factor that helped you push on and move on. But what about your sister? Obviously, your sister is a famous chess player as well. And how was it? How was your chess development? For both of you, but how did your sister impact your chess development at that early stage, and how did you impact hers? Did you get along? Did you play together? Was there competition? Did your parents encourage the competition between the two of you, or did you always work as a team? How was it?
Yeah, for those who don't know, I have a younger sister, Maria. She's 2.5 years younger. At the moment, we are not just at the moment, but for many, many years, we both have been the top female players, and she's also the former women's world champion. And actually, we are the only sisters in the chess world who both managed to win world champion titles. So it's quite special for us. And I think in the very beginning, since I was an older sister. She was kind of following my footsteps. And well, I can't say that my parents were making experiments on me, but sometimes they could know like what works, what doesn't work, or what works better, and what to do. But at the same time, when you are following someone, then you kind of have some expectations, yeah, because I was first, and I didn't have anyone to follow. I was on my own, and we were just, well, my parents were looking like the results of the other girls in the age group, yeah, in the very beginning. But since I was successful, Maria had me as an example. And for her, I think in the beginning it wasn't so easy, but I mean, again, it had some pluses and it has some minuses. On one hand, she kind of had to follow my footsteps, but on the other hand, she also had some things ready and which were not ready when I was starting. So yeah, it was a very interesting journey, and I think I'm really lucky that I have her because for us, first of all, we are sisters and not chess players, and we have wonderful relationships. And still, we live together, and we are traveling to many tournaments together, to most of the tournaments actually, and it's a big support. I think. Well, we will never know, but I think I wouldn't have become the chess player I am without her, and the same for her. She wouldn't have become the same without me. So it means a lot to us. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I also know your sister a little bit, and I think that's in one of the interviews, right, she mentioned the same, and it's quite obvious when you see the two of you together. Uh, Not just the physical resemblance, but also the resemblance in the way you approach things, and obviously you can see that there's a very strong bond again, both in chess and in life, which is good. But being child chess prodigies or prodigies in any sport, it's a big struggle how to balance that with growing up, with being a child, with being a teenager, with going out, socializing. How how did you manage that? And was it any different for you and for Maria? How did you two manage in the same way? Did you do anything differently when it comes to that question of um, being
Um,
focused so much on chess, but also running your normal life as you would expect for someone who's in their small early years or teenage years or late?
yes, I don't think that we had such different, or there were big differences in this way in between us, just that we are different in character. Yeah. And so each of us could do some things on our own way. But well, the important thing is, and what many people actually ask, yeah, how did you start? How was it? How did you manage? Because chess, actually, if you're aiming to be like to do it professionally, and eventually maybe to become one of the best or to be at a very high level, then you really have to work a lot on chess. And we see that chess, as many other sports, they are becoming younger and younger. We have Gukesh, world champion at 18, and we have many young players being on the very top. So it's really it is really important to start earlier, because from previous generations, it was possible like to combine chess or some other things. We may know like the world champions, for example, Lasker, Botvinnik. Yeah, they were not only world champions, but they also had high educational degrees. They were professors, yeah, in mathematics, in different things. And yeah, back then, people could do two things, or sometimes even more than two at the same time. Nowadays, basically, if you're working on chess, then you're working on chess. You don't have time to do something else. So speaking about ourselves, for my parents, it became quite clear, even though they didn't have like examples to follow. But for them, it became clear that if they want us to be chess player, then we have to focus on chess, and we can't. And in this case, we can't go to school regularly. It was quite a challenge because it's already like well to go to our school teachers and headmasters and to tell them that our children will not go to school regularly. For some people who have never heard about that and who had like zero people doing the same, yeah, it's like what what are you talking about, right? So I don't know how they came to it, but somehow they managed to arrange it. So we were, yeah, because from the very early age we were traveling a lot, and we had a lot of tournaments, and we had to work on chess. So we didn't have time to go to school and then to practice chess after school. We just had to pass all the tests, obviously. So we were coming when there were tests or for some lessons occasionally, but mainly we were working on chess every day, many hours, without weekends, without holidays, without anything. And that's how it worked. But sometimes it's not allowed. I think in some countries, maybe it's more difficult, or sometimes it's forbidden. In many countries, it is allowed, but if you look at all the top level chess players, we all did the same. And I don't think there are some exceptions in this way, because yeah, chess requires a lot of time.
Is there any point at that early stage in your career, that very early formative period, where you thought, hold on, maybe this isn't really for me, or I just want to get back to seeing my friends every day in school and staying put and going out and whatever one does when they are, 10, 11, 12, 13.
No, even earlier, I thought about it many times, especially when you have some bad event. Because actually, like, how was it in the very beginning? You go to the tournament, then you come back. You have to study for school. You pass this test, then you're back with chess, and it's like it was like that. Yeah, switching between one thing to another thing, but I remember that, for example, in the very first classes, yeah, it was quite easy, even with going to the tournaments quite often. I was coming and I was able to, well, my parents were helping me, my grandparents were helping me with some studies. So it was quite easy to study the subjects within a few days and to pass them and have actually a good mark. Later on, of course, it became more difficult, but still. So I realized that if I was realizing that if I went to school regularly, I wouldn't have any problems, because and I would have a lot of time for other things. I can't say that we didn't have time to go out. Yeah, we did have some time, just that this time was limited. Also, like for watching some cartoons or what other children do, yeah. So we did have some free time, but just we had less of it. And some people call it a sacrifice. For me, I don't think it's like a sacrifice, but just when you put so much time into something else, you take this time from anything else you could do, any other things, yes? So it just depends what you choose. But well, with our parents, it was always, it wasn't like we were pushed. So we kind of had a choice to choose whatever we want. But at the same time, they obviously wanted us to be chess players, and they were also trying to bring us back, you know. So yeah, like this.
So at 13, you became the champion of Ukraine, the Ukrainian women's champion. How did that success shape your ambitions for the future?
Um, well, it started even earlier because, yeah, this was the first success, like the first big success in terms of playing the women's tournament. But before, I also played many tournaments in my age categories. And I won several European championships in different age categories. I had a lot of medals also from the World Championships. So that was something that was showing that we are, let's say, that this way is not hopeless, yeah, that we have some successes and that we can continue. Because otherwise, if you're doing something and you cannot compare it with the other, then you don't know if you're doing it right or you're doing it wrong. But since we have these championships already starting from a very young age, you can compare yourself with the other kids and you can see how you're doing at that level. But then when I was 13, yeah, this big success happened. And it's not only that I won Ukrainian Women's Championship, but also I did it with some fantastic score. I made 8.5 out of 9. And it was something that nobody expected.
And obviously, it was something, as you say, which nobody expected, and it's a big thing. Not many people in life uh, get to achieve the unexpected. Most of us, we spend our life in school, we work. You need to study for this exam. You know what to expect. You pass the exam. But when you get, a lot of people struggle when they get to work, and they're depending on what they do. But if they're tasked with finding solutions, sometimes they think it's just going through some same old principles and the solutions are there, they already exist. But actually, often you have to make the solutions. You have to be the trailblazer. You have to be the one who will come up with something new that no one has done before. And you've given one example. How much of a pressure is that? How do you deal with that pressure? There's obviously being chased, even in a tournament, being chased, or in a career. Your life is spent, especially your and your sisters, is spent as like most top world players, of people chasing you and trying to catch up with you and trying to take advantage and get ahead of you. Sometimes it's people say it's easier to be an underdog than the favorite. But first of all, do you prefer more to be seen as a favorite or the underdog? And in general, how do you deal with that pressure of everyone trying to effectively take you down in the most sportsman context?
Yeah, disregarding that, I can just say that if you are a chess player, you have to be used to be under a chess player from the very beginning, from whenever you start, because already like the first tournament is a challenge. There are many people who want to beat you, and you have to be the one who have to, first of all, to survive and then maybe to win. Yeah. So you start learning, if I may say so, how to live under the pressure already when you're a kid. But it becomes natural, yeah. You're thrown into this society, yes, and then you have to deal with it. I don't know. For me, it was just the process and practice, and of course, with many ups and downs, with losses, with wins, with sometimes very painful moments. Sometimes when you want to give up, but then you continue, and it's hard to give an advice. Yes, I just think it's something that every person has to overlive, to make conclusions, to analyze the mistakes,
An
and
interesting question I got
to
here. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I thought you finished.
no, just to finish it, to analyze and to make conclusions what you will change and what you will try to avoid in the future.
Speaking of changing, one interesting question I got here, and on one of the links is, When you play, do you play against the pieces, against the position, or do you play against the person, the character, the opponent? Obviously, Svetozar Gligoric, famous Serbian Yugoslav chess player, he had this famous statement that he plays against the pieces, not against the person. But then again, we heard relatively recently Magnus Carlsen in one of the interviews said that he would deliberately, in certain positions against certain players, play a weaker move, but a sharper one, knowing that they would either be afraid against him. So obviously, he plays on the character. How do you approach this?
Yeah, good question, and many people ask about it. I think it's a combination of factors, like the tournament which you're playing, the opponent which you're playing, the tournament situation that you have right now, your personal state at this moment, like how you're feeling, and yeah, many things. I think it's like combining on all of that again, basically after having so much of practice and personal experience. That's how you come to a good conclusion, and then you decide in each position because you have to make a lot of decisions during the game, but even before the game, like which line you are choosing, what you're going to do, like your strategy and so on. Yeah, I don't think it's not only that I don't think, I'm sure that there is no player who is just going with one strategy. I'm doing just this way. I think we are all trying to be flexible, but of course we all have some preferences.
Have you ever had a rival who pushed you to achieve something? A rival who could be a friendly, a frenemy, or a true enemy, but who pushed you to do things differently and achieve things differently.
I can't say a rival. Well, we just had concurrents, yeah. People who were at the same age, because I was born in 1990, and starting from youth tournaments, I was mainly competing with 1989 and 1991. And we had a lot of strong players in this group. For example, uh, from 89 we have Gunina, we have Lagno. From 91 we have Tanjan Yi, Zhuwen Jun. Who else is in the very top? Well, there were obviously people who were good in when they were young, but then they stopped playing chess or they stopped playing so actively. But already this, out of five of us, we are all five top players. Yeah, so it was quite a strong group. My sister is 92, so there were many strong players, and we all pushed each other. So this was quite a competitive field.
What about friendships at that level? Is there obviously you're trying to beat someone at chess? You get it's only natural, especially at your level and given your success, it's only natural that you want to be a winner. You want to be the one at the top. Uh, how does that impact the possibility of friendships between, let's say, that generation that you just spoke about at that level?
Okay, with Chinese girls, we didn't speak so much when we were little, but now we are obviously on good terms. With some others, we were talking. I can't say that we were close friends, but you know, when you are kids, you don't think like, okay, we were obviously fighting over the boards, and it was a super important game for all of us. But after the game, we could easily go and play some game together, so it was not a problem.
But does friendship impact the way you play against someone? Do you feel, however a strong opponent is, do you feel because you know them personally well and you're on good terms with them, does that make it more pleasant for you to play against them rather than, let's say, playing against a slightly weaker opponent, but who you don't know really well, or you're maybe not on great terms with?
I don't think it depends like if she or he is weak or strong. But I think, yeah, it depends on the person, rather on the person. For me, personally, I prefer to not to play with people with whom I am on really good terms, because it's not a great feeling when you win against your friend. So
I've
I prefer,
seen.
yeah, to play against someone else.
I remember I was present at a few tournaments where you played some of your close friends, and also it was very important for your sister. But I understand there's always a rule when you and your sister play. Uh, you always split a point, and that's always when you lock back at your career.
Always, yeah. Sometimes we are forced to play like the World Cup and some other tournaments, but yeah, now it's different.
Are there any, while you mentioned that, are there any, do you, one of the biggest assets of every chess player is obviously their preparation. Are there any secrets to your preparation or Maria, your sister's preparation, that both of you are either of you are not aware of? So is it something that in your preparation you keep away from your sister so she doesn't know, or is it all an open book between the two of you?
Okay, we have one file which is common, so we both have access to it. So basically, we are not hiding. I mean, we are not trying to hide. Obviously, there can be a situation that I am working on my own and she's working on her own. So she's working on some line and she knows it better, or I'm working on something and I understand it better. But not like we are trying to hide, not to tell to each other. Like I don't know. I can't imagine the situations. I have some great idea, and she needs it, and I don't say, or vice versa. Yeah, it's simply impossible.
Okay, no. Oh, can you hear me? Yes. Looking back at your career, what do you wish you'd done differently, if anything?
Um, okay, there were. I mean, there were some mistakes or inaccuracies, which I understand now that maybe okay, this way I would have done differently. But from a global point of view, it's hard to say.
That's always it's always left for us as journalists and people on the side to criticize and know better than you players there. I know that that's a comment I heard from one, but yeah, I understand completely. It's difficult to see now. But I mean, looking towards the future, women's chess has grown significantly in recent years. We've seen that FIDE has brought in new events. We have obviously just the World Cup that finished. We had the Grand Prix series. Um, we have new events, and we see more women coming up in the sporting game. What do you think still needs to change for real equality and opportunities for women in chess compared to men?
Yes, as you have mentioned, the situation has become much, much better. We have more tournaments, and in the last years, it's even it's growing. Norway Chess Women launched just 2 years ago. Yeah, the prizes are increasing, and this is very important also for women. But still, the difference is huge comparing to the so-called open events and their prizes. So I think what can be done is just to spread information about chess and possibilities which chess give, because I think there is not so much information about that. Like many people just go to the club, yes, just for the interest. But the only thing they may know about chess is that, well, it's either you're reaching a good level and you become and a top chess player, or not, yeah, or that it doesn't give you anything. But first of all, even for the very beginning, chess is a very good game for the kids. And it helps you a lot at school, I think, with simply with the subjects. Even if you just practice chess, I don't know, 1 hour per week, you go to the club, I think it will improve your marks and improve your way of thinking, improve your time management, improve your strategic thinking, and memory. So there are many good things which chess gives you just besides the game. And also, even if you don't become like a professional chess player, you can also become a coach. Even if you don't reach like the highest level, there are a lot of programs, for example, in the USA, where if you are successful in the youth tournaments, then you have a chance to get a scholarship, to get interesting opportunities, and to study in good universities. And in the USA, I think it's developed the best, but there are also some in the other countries. So this is another opportunity. And yeah, all these opportunities, I think that if people knew more about it, then maybe more people would join chess, and including the girls.
And speaking about the future of chess, obviously one thing that's on everyone's mind in chess, in anything these days or the recent years, is artificial intelligence, AI. I've seen in one of the comments here that one of our guests said that hopefully AI will rectify the time required for chess, so how long it takes to learn and prepare. How do you see the impact of AI on chess, and what are the good sides, in your opinion, and what are the bad sides, if any, to the role of AI?
Good question. Well, nowadays we can't imagine chess without the help of the engines or the computers and so on. But maybe my generation is the last generation who started working on chess without the computers. I think I got my first computer when I was 11, 12, I mean, something like this age. But when at that time I was already quite a decent player, so I started my chess career with the books, with going to the tournaments, having the backpack full of chess books, chess notes, and yeah, it was. I still have them at home actually. All these preparations. So nowadays everything is easier, but at the same time, more or less everyone has the same conditions. So this is, of course, good that we can learn new information faster. What can be bad about it is that if you don't have someone who guides you, or if, especially like if you're young, it's very difficult to understand, to translate this computer language into the human language. For example, if you're studying some opening, yeah, you see that the computer suggests you one move, I mean, or some move, but the computer doesn't explain to you why this move, why not the other. And at the same time, you are not used to think on your own, like we were used to, because we didn't have anyone to ask, just some other person. So yeah, in general, I think, of course, it's good for chat that computers came to us and they showed new opportunities. We had to rethink and to estimate many of the concepts, many of the things which we thought one way, now we think differently. But at the same time, yeah, you have to know how to work with it so that it's more efficient.
And just actually, in general, how do you see the future of chess? And well, then there's two. Well, I'll start just with this one. How do you see the future of chess developing, given everything that's happening, given the role of AI, the rises of new chess platforms, different sponsors, and everything? How do you see the future of our sport?
Well, I would wish that chess becomes more and more popular, that more and more companies are interested into chess, that more and more people join chess. Let's hope we will find some maybe even new opportunities with which chess gives us, and that yeah, tournaments are growing. So yeah, it's hard to say. I think that chess still has a long future because many people are also talking about the death of chess and so on. I don't see it coming very soon because yeah, still so many tournaments, so many new games, new ideas, and the engines are becoming stronger and showing even different ideas from which we thought in the past. Yeah. So yeah, in the next few decades, I think chess will still be quite popular. Maybe there will be more tournaments with shorter time controls because many people are speaking that classics is too long to play and to watch. I don't know. For me, it's still interesting, but of course, it's debatable. So maybe there will be some changes. Let's hope chess will be able to enter on television. Of course, that would be a huge step if we manage so, because it will, of course, attract more people, more sponsors. That would be good if this happens. But we will see. I don't hear you,
Sorry,
sorry.
I'm back now. On that subject of getting chess on television or on obviously on streaming platforms and whatever, how much awareness of the importance of that, uh, how much awareness is there among the elite players that you know and talk about? Because as a journalist and as someone who likes chess as a spectator, I know it's often not always the easiest thing to have a good interview with a chess player purely because, as you mentioned, some of them you in order to become a professional player and be where they are, they had to focus solely on chess. So sometimes it feels there's
Mainly,
a
I would
lack
say.
of broader knowledge or a lack of the ability to articulate their ideas beyond the chessboard. So how much of an issue do you think this is? And in general, when you talk to your friends and colleagues in the elite chess, how much understanding is there on the importance of being more presentable and adapting themselves and their public image to the audience and the spectators who are maybe not chess professionals or not in the chess world at all, but just happen to like chess or are discovering it.
Uh, okay, I will say this way. Of course, we are focused on chess and we spend a lot of time on that, but obviously, uh, not only on that. Yes, if you, I talk to many chess players, and yes, mainly we talk about chess, but also we are talking about other things, and we are obviously able to talk about other things. I think it has to be a combination of everything because um, yeah, I agree with you. I understand what you are talking because you have been to many tournaments, and for us, maybe we are not so much wanting to come to the interviews and to give many of them. But I think I really believe that if we had all this understanding that this helps, then we will do it with more enthusiasm. Because what we have now, like, okay, another interview again, oh, okay, these questions, more or less the same questions. What will it give? How many people will it watch? And what will it change? Somehow we don't see that it's really important. But if we had this, like, okay, this will help, and we will see that it's really helping, then I think it will be a different attitude. Maybe I am
That
wrong, but that's what I believe.
one thing we know works is having interesting games and interesting analysis, especially when they come from top experts. And I believe, Anna, you prepared a game or two for us to analyze, to share with us, and it'd be great to see. Obviously, I invite everyone to ask questions or leave comments if they have. Uh, Obviously, maybe we won't be judging the quality of your analysis. I don't know, unless there's a hidden super GM here somewhere. But please, Anna, do let us know what you prepared for us and why, and tell us what you want to share.
Yeah, for this session, I've prepared a couple of games which I think will be interesting to see. There are also some stories behind them. So yeah, let's get started. And just a second. So maybe at some points I will ask you some questions to guess the move. Maybe that will be also interesting. So I have my first game ready. Okay, can you see it?
Yes, we can. Thank you. We can.
Yeah, so this is the first game which I prepared for today. It's this game was played in 1998 at the European Championship under 10. And the game was played against Laura Rogule. If you have any person here from Latvia, I'm sure you know her, and I think Milan, you also know her. She is a grandmaster, and she still keeps on playing in different leagues and different tournaments. So from time to time, I still meet her at some events. So why did I choose this game? I will tell you that I won my first European Championship when I was 6 years old. It was in 1996, but that tournament was played with a rapid time control, and I don't have games from that tournament. Then in 1997, I managed to win second place at the section under 10. And this is the tournament which I won. I was 8 years old and I won under 10. So this was like the first big win, well, after 1996. But why this game? It has a very interesting story. This game was played in the 5th round, I believe, or in the 6th. Just a second, I'll check. In the 6th round. And Laura had 5 points out of 5. She was leading in the tournament. And I was half point behind. But before this game was played, there was a day off. And during the day off, there was a simultaneous done by Judith Polgar. And she was playing against the leader of each section, boys and girls. And since Laura was the leader, she had a chance to play in the simul, and I didn't have because I was in the second place. But having Judith Polgar, this event was a very special, and my parents, they told, okay, anyway, we go to watch. I said, okay, we go to watch. For me, it was just to go to watch, to see Judith. She was a big star and a big inspiration, especially for the girls. She was showing us what we can achieve, what we should achieve if you work hard. But for my
Sorry,
part,
was that the first time you've met Judith?
yeah, we didn't talk obviously because she was the star and I was nobody at that time. So she just came for the simul like a special guest. But it was I remember seeing her doing the simul. She had a fantastic score, so it was interesting for me. But my parents, they paid attention also to the game which she played against Laura in this case. And my father thought it may be a very interesting idea to play exactly the same line that happened in the sim. And so look what happened. I played e4, c5, knight f3, d6, d4, cd4, queen d4. I have never played this line in my life, and I had no idea about it. But especially my father, she saw that Judith plays it, and he had an idea that maybe Laura didn't even analyze that game, which likely happened because she started thinking from the very beginning. So that was a very interesting concept. Actually, that game taught me that I should analyze every single game I played, even if it's even a friendly game, very carefully, because it may happen like the same opening or the same idea in the very next game. So queen d4. Of course, this move is not the main move. The main move is knight d4, and usually we are taught that chess players should not develop queen the very stage of the game because it may be attacked. So very often it's a bad idea. But here there is a special, let's say, concept which we will see later on also appeared in this game. So knight c6 followed, a very logical game, attacking the queen. And if the queen goes somewhere, no matter where, it will be just the waste of time, losing the tempos. So this obviously is not the plan for this game. The idea of all that is that white plays bishop to b5. So we develop another piece, we pin the knight, and we keep the queen in the center. So basically what we want now is to quickly develop the pieces like knight c3, then bishop somewhere along castle, and try to prove that active play is more important than the bishop pair, which we will soon lose because we will have to give this bishop for this knight. The game continued bishop d7. Now I have to take, because again, if I move the queen, this doesn't make sense. Takes, knight c3. So we have a small edge in the development. Knight f6 followed. This all looks logical. Bishop g5, e6, long castle. Now black should always be careful with some e5 ideas, yeah, because here there is some pin and there is another pin. Bishop e7 followed. Rook e1. Now we can see that all white's pieces are in the play, so it's an interesting battle. Queen c7. Black is trying to go into long castle with the queen. The point is that if black castles short, then white may take this bishop with the knight, and black is more or less forced to take with the pawn. And then if you castle the king that way, the king is more exposed. So black wants to castle long in order that now if the king goes there, then the king is doesn't look so weak. So after queen c7, I played queen to d2. The idea is that now I am doing some regrouping. I am trying to put the knight on d4. Later on, there will be some ideas maybe to play knight b5 to put pressure on the d6 square, and also some other ideas which we will see in the game later on. So long castle, knight d4, king b8, bishop f4. Now we are putting more and more pressure on the d6 pawn. If black plays e5 now, f4, then we always have knight c6, so we are not losing the piece, but we may also think about some ideas like knight b5. Maybe here it doesn't work because queen b6 and again double attack. But knight c6 and it's still okay for white. So in the game, black played knight e8. The idea is that now after bishop f4, now we are threatening to play e5 sometimes and attack the knight, attack the pawn. Taking on e5 will not be good because of bishop e5. So black decided to make such kind of the prophylactical move. And now f3, blocking this diagonal and strengthening our e4 pawn. King a8. Queen a3. Now another regrouping. I am trying to double the rooks on the d file. Rook c8, rook d2, a6. I think this is with the idea to stop knight b5. Rook d1, bishop d7. White pieces is somehow placed much more harmoniously, and we have more space in the center, so we have more space for our pieces. I believe white's position is more pleasant. And now I played knight b3. Now we open the file for the d6 pawn, h6. And here I think it comes to the moment when I took an interesting decision. Maybe you can also share some of your ideas and some of the ideas that can be interesting in, starting from here. I'll just have to open the chat to see.
Looking at the other sources as well, there are like comments. There's one for playing knight d5 or something, pushing on the center and just kind of sacrificing a piece, but then pressing.
Yeah, knight d5 is very typical for all types of Sicilian, and we should always consider the possibilities of such a move. Also, if we go one move, then besides knight d5, a typical idea is to play knight f5. Yeah. So, for example, something like that can be also very interesting, like the fork here, and maybe also knight to b6. I'm not sure whether it works. Maybe it's not the best moment to do it, but it's definitely the idea that we should always consider.
Obviously, we have another in the chat, the bishop, rotating the bishop to f2 and pinning the a7.
Oh, that's also a very interesting idea. Yeah, bishop g3 followed by bishop f2. I like it. And then we have all these ideas with knight b5, knight e6, knight f5. Just replay it. Yeah, here. Here it's also possible, yeah, bishop g3. Any other ideas? Since we don't have so many people here, maybe we can just...
Yeah, on this side, I don't see any other comments that suggest similar to this one. Yeah, you can go on with your suggestion. Oh.
Yeah, black. I'm just reading another comment. Black's other rook is doing nothing. Yeah, black rook is on h is basically out of play at the moment. So yeah. Well, the idea that I came up with, I decided to play e5. So finally, I thought that all my pieces are well placed, and that we can try to break through. And I found this interesting small combination. I played e5. Now, if black takes, we take, and there is the problem with the bishop. So after e5, the move d5 is more or less forced, I guess, right? So d5 was played in the game, and now I played knight d5. So e takes d5 is forced, and now e6. So we are open the diagonal for the bishop, and we are attacking the bishop on d7. The queen has to move. I take on d7, queen d7, and rook d5. So with this small combination, I managed to win the pawn. And later on, I won the game. We can quickly go through it, but it was just the technical part. So queen c2 was threatening the checkmate, so I couldn't take the bishop. Now I decided to stabilize and to trade the pieces. Yeah, we all know that when you have material advantage, it's good to trade some pieces. So b3. Now I'm a pawn up here, so I started pushing my pawns. And here the last trick. Who is good in calculation?
Yeah, of course.
You found?
We can see it, but let's see. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I see comments
Yeah.
here and here coming. Knight
Very good. Knight c6, right? So knight c6 was played, and Laura resigned. So this game was very important because after that game I became the leader of the tournament, and later on I eventually won the championship.
Anna, one question, and a more general one. How difficult is it to win a winning position when you are dominating, but and you're obviously winning, but the player doesn't want to give up? They're playing on and trying to pose traps, and it's often to us who are not professionals and when we follow the games, we see that. Obviously, we're often assisted by computers. We see that, let's say, you are completely winning, and even to maybe a less stronger player, it's quite obvious that the position is hopeless, but the player plays on, just keeps pushing, and is very stubborn. How does that irritate you, or do you accept it? How do you deal with it? And is it psychologically actually difficult to force you now to show that you can win this winning position?
Yeah, very good. Very interesting topic. Even up to now, like after playing so many games and already being on the top level in women's chess, it's still quite difficult. And well, because obviously your opponents, they don't want to resign, so they will look for every single chance. And also me, when I am in a bad position, I am trying to keep playing to find some chances in order not to lose. So it's like a normal process. Of course, when you're younger and when you are starting to play chess, it's more difficult to control your emotions and to mainly keep focused. And also, you know less about chess, so you're likely to miss more tricks, and more winning positions become losing positions sometimes, or not winning. So, well, the most important, I think, is to stay focused. We all know that the game is not over until it's over. And always to try to look for the opportunities, not to give counter chances to your opponents. Because actually, very often, I think this is important. Sometimes we are playing the game, and if we are just analyzing it with the computer, yeah, we are just clicking, and we are paying attention only to the last mistake. Like we play, and then we say, okay, this last mistake, there was a big change in the valuation, and we only pay attention to this moment. But I think it's a bit wrong. I think you lost or you missed something, or something bad happened, not only because of the last mistake. It very rarely actually happens that it's because of the last mistake, only if you have some opening disaster or you played a good game and sometimes, okay, you made a blunder, yeah, that happens. But usually there are some decisions, there are actually many decisions you took earlier, which slowly, one by one, led to that mistake. And many people are not paying this attention to these mistakes because they are watching the game with the computer, and for example, they are, I don't know, +3, for example, yeah, and they made a move and it's +2. Okay, but +2 is also winning. You may say, I made a good move. But you made one move, it's +2. Then after a few moves, you made another bad move, it's +1. Maybe it's still winning, maybe not. And then in the end, you don't win. Or sometimes you win and you don't pay attention to all that, what happened at all. I think it's wrong because we don't learn anything with that. So I think it's really important to take all these moves, all these analyses very carefully, because if we pay more attention to it, we will likely not do the same mistakes again in our next games.
Thank you. I see Andre has raised a hand, but before Andre, I go to you. Just I see in one of the in this second comment section, there's a question about evaluating the position. It said, our guest said, it looks like a dominating position after the sacrifice, but seemed equal except for pawn. How to evaluate that? I mean, this is leads on to an interesting, a good question as to how do you evaluate a position, and in this particular case, it seemed equal before you saw uh, to a naked eye, to an untrained eye, it seemed like an equal normal position, and yet you saw this. How do you evaluate, as in, if I get it right, how do you sense the moment there's an opportunity here? Is it something that's an alchemy that takes place in a chess player's mind, or is there a way to train yourself to do this? And then we'll go, Chandra, to your question. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it comes with practice and with learning more and more chess patterns. So I will show this position again. I mean, every position is obviously different and we have to apply different things. But let's go back to it. So if we speak about this moment where I sacrificed with playing e5. So the first thing, like, why, like, if there is some tactic in the position, why there is a tactic in the position? The tactic in the position is because there are some unprotected pieces, or there is some attack to the king. So if we look at this position, more or less, we see that most of the pieces are protected, but we see that potentially this bishop is weak. So if we play e5, it's already obvious that now we are winning some material. And also we are putting so much pressure on the d6 pawn that we are kind of looking into it. And we may think that there may be something about it. Now, another thing, after d5, like knight d5 combination is also quite typical. But if we see that after e6, we have this idea that we are opening the diagonal for the bishop, that we are taking the bishop on the very next move, so it's not like a long-term combination. And after that, we also see that this bishop on e7 is hanging, and also this pawn on d5 is weak. So it's like, if we speak about this particular position, there is this combination of factors. But if we put things a little bit differently, there are maybe different combinations. So it's really important, especially when you are starting to play chess, to solve a lot of puzzles. Because it will, first of all, enrich you with the ideas. You will know more of different things about chess, different ideas that may occur. And also it will be more automatic. So because if you solve 100 puzzles on the same topic, you will likely search for it in your own games. And this really and of course it improves your calculation skills, because I remember that when I was a kid, I was solving, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of these positions. Like one book was finished and I was starting another one. Then I mean they were changing very, very often. I was really working a lot on studies and on puzzles. I think it helped me a lot to sharpen my chess eye.
That's an interesting point about puzzle. That's a very good point. So to see patterns, do puzzles, you get used to the patterns, and then hopefully you'll see it in your own game. Andre, sorry, you had a question.
Yes, if we look at this position, I just remember I had to play a simul against a strong woman player in Switzerland. And I thought to myself, as a very happy 750 player, I thought, well, let's go for Najdorf. And then I sacrificed my knight because she played a6 and g5, and I thought to myself, let's go for it. I maintained the pin, and then I thought to myself, so I have to attack until the end of the game. And I had an advantage, a quite high advantage, but then as a 750 player, I just went into and it's always the case back into defending. So she was attacking something, and I thought to myself, okay, I have to defend, but I had only to push through, and I had a winning position. So, what is your advice uh, in this sense that you have to just go through the pressure and win?
Yeah, it happens quite often that, especially when you start, that you are facing an opponent who is stronger, and sometimes you are afraid just to do some things. Yes, sometimes you're spending away much more time than you would normally spend. That's quite a typical situation also. It's difficult like to give an advice that will work in every case. The best is, of course, if you manage to just rely on yourself and to believe in yourself that whatever you do is great, and no matter who is sitting in front of you. But at the same time, we are all humans, and we all have these kind of hesitations, yes, to do or not to do. And also it depends like if the game is important or not, because if you're, let's say, playing a tournament, it's the last game, and then it depends if you win the tournament or you are out of the prizes. Yeah, it also influences on your decision. So it's difficult to come up with some concrete advice that will work in every case. But I think, yeah, for every situation, it's possible to decide what is the most important and to go with it. I think that's the best. But I maybe there are some other suggestions. Maybe Milan has some ideas.
I think it's better to stay away from my ideas at my level of chess. But very good. I sorry, we have a follow-up to a question, and the
Thank
gentleman who
you.
said I meant you can see the comment. The end game look equal. How to transition into that? Maybe Anna, if you can just share the game again towards the end game.
At what moment? There was there was some compensation because just a second.
Yeah, let's do it. That's yeah.
Because obviously Black had an activity with their rooks, yeah.
They moved their rooks, yeah, to your
Yes,
first
maybe
line.
it was not like entirely perfect game, but for 8 years old girl, it was good. So, for example, here, yes. So we came to an end game. Where white is a pawn up, but black obviously has some compensation. The rook is active. Here we have some pin. Are you talking about this moment?
Well, let's see if they will answer, but you can describe. I guess they will follow, but you can talk from this moment. Take us through this period. Yeah.
Okay, so basically, yes, there is compensation. We can't say that it's just a free pawn. So what do we have to do? Our main problem is this pin. How to avoid it? I think the only way is to play either b3 or c3, followed by king b2 or king c2, and then the knight is free. And that's what I tried to do in the game. Rook h1, first I have to protect that pawn, so I played h3. Rook e8. Now, rook e1 is a very serious threat. I don't have time to play b3 because rook e1, yes? So I don't have much of a choice here, so I played c4. Rook e1 in order to place rook c2 to defend my knight. And now, basically, the next moves are obvious. I have to play b3 or b4 followed by king b2. That's what happened. Rook g1, black is trying to find some counterplay, attacking that pawn. So I defended it, and then I started to evacuate my king. And now finally, like on next move, I can play knight d3, and now my knight is not longer under the pin. It was before, but this is good too.
No, I think this is a good explanation, and thank you for this. I'm conscious of the time. We have another 20 minutes or so. I think we have time for one more game, and let's say another 15 minutes, and then we'll wrap it. So you have one more game to show us, Anna?
Yes, sure. Okay, I can show you, for example, this game because I prepared 6, but we will not have time for all 6. But let's look at another game. It's also quite memorable for me. Just a second. So here we are. Okay, this is another game. This game was played against Antonetta Stefanova. She played with white pieces. I played with black pieces. This was my first Olympiad in 2004. I was 14 years old, and it was very memorable for me going to the Olympiad, playing on the first board. When I played this game, Antonetta Stefanova was the world champion.
And she's a famous from Bulgaria, very famous.
Yes,
player.
and that's why it was even like more interesting and more challenging. I can also say that at the same Olympiad, I had a chance to play against Susan Polgar. It was a draw, and many other top players. But this win over the reigning world champion was really special. So I played with black pieces, and the game went like that. D4, E6, G3, F5. I'm trying to come into the Dutch defense, which normally starts with a D4, F5. I used to play this opening a lot when I was a kid, and even now sometimes I play it occasionally. I really liked it because it had a very simple plan, and it was working quite successfully. So I think that's the reason I mainly liked it. So the main idea of this opening is that it has an easy development. My next moves were usually knight f6, g6, bishop g7, castle, d6. I can maybe show it, yeah, on the board. So usually white plays like this. There's this with some maybe different move orders. So, and here after knight c3 there are different moves, but when I was younger I used to play queen e8 with the idea to push e5, and very often I could start an attack on the king, like followed by e4 sometimes. So I really like this play. And maybe if you're interested, you can also think about playing this opening with black from time to time if you like it. But check at least some games or some lines. So in this game, it was a bit different. I started with e6, then f5, but then the same plan. So queen b3. White has a bit more space on the queen's side, so that's what white is trying to use. Queen e7, 92, 97, castle, king h8. The idea of king h8 is prophylactical move, so that after e5, c5 doesn't come up with a check, because if we trade both here and then there, we may have problems over the c file. So I didn't want to allow that. So king h8, rook e1. White is preparing to push e4. Now I played e5, e4. And this is a very typical situation for these structures. And an interesting idea which black is using quite often, and which I also use in this game, is to play f4. And the main point is that if white takes here, we don't take back, because if we take back, white has a perfect center, and we may even just lose because our pieces are not developed and white's pieces are placed perfectly, but the typical idea of this line is that if white takes on f4, then we play knight to h5. We are sacrificing the pawn, but we are getting this beautiful square for the knight. Our rook is active, and then we are trying to attack the skin then later on. That's why Antonetta didn't take on f4. She took on e5 first. I took with the knight. There were some trades, bishop c3, g5. Now I'm trying to, let's say, intimidate my opponent. Queen b2, putting the pressure on the e5 pawn. Knight d7, a bit uncomfortable move because we don't want to block the bishop, but at the same time, I didn't want to go passively to e8 or to h5. Now on h5, we don't have the square on f4. I had another idea for this knight, which we will see later on in the game. c5 was played. I think the idea was to follow with knight to c4. That's why I played b5 to block the square. Rook d1. Now white realized that there is no play on this file, so white is regrouping the pieces. And this is the moment where I made the move that I was actually proud of after the game. Maybe you can think for a while and you can share your ideas what black can do here. We already have something in the chat. Yeah, wonderful. Saiwar knight b8 followed by knight c6. This is the move that was played. And I think that it's really interesting, especially considering that I planned this idea when I played knight to d7. But just a general tip is that when the position is not concrete, yes, when we are not playing some forced moves, and there is time for improvement of our pieces, we may think like where ideally we would like to place our pieces. And when we think that way, it's quite clear that the best place for this knight is on d4. And some strange looking move, knight b8, yeah, bringing the knight back to the square, blocking the rook, or also the bishop hasn't made a single move, may look quite strange, but then when you look at the position after it, and especially like a few moves when the idea was played, yeah, now the knight was brought to c6, then you realize that, yeah, that's quite interesting. And even now, knight b8, if you check with the engine, it's the best move in the position. So I think it was quite an interesting moment. So knight b8, yeah, well done. I'm glad that you found it. a4, a6. I will quickly show you what happened later in the game. Knight b3, rook d8. This. Queen b5, white wins the pawn, but we have a strong bishop pair and the strong d pawn, which already starts moving. Also the pawn on e4 is weak, so if white does something like rook d1, maybe we can already take. I think Antonetta here, she wanted to change the character of the game. And I think the time travel was also approaching, so her decision is quite explainable, yeah, to play rook a8 and to win this d3 pawn. But black's position is still quite good. So I played rook d8, queen e2, queen e5. White's problem is actually that this knight on b3, if it was on f5, it would have been really good, yeah, with 2 pawns for an exchange. But with the knight on b3 and being so much without the outpost, I think this was quite a problem here. Knight b5, queen n1. Now there is the problem with this f2 square. c6 was played. This doesn't look like a good move, but I think we were in the time trouble, so she played c6, queen c3. Now this pawn is attacked, and that pawn is also attacked. King g2, queen b4. And also the pawn is c6. Oh. Yeah, no, it was difficult to defend both on e4 and on c4, so. Well, now I'm a piece up and the rest of the game is not so interesting.
But this is a good maybe example of that, what we discussed, winning a winning game. Obviously, it's you are winning, but you have to prove you have to win, and especially with not that many pieces on the board and the queens on the board and the diagonals everywhere and the king's exposed, it's always very risky to put your queen on the wrong diagonal and then get checked, and then put your king in the square. But it's interesting. Thank you for showing us this game again, and just to wrap it up, when preparing for a game or after a game, when analyzing, what is, I would say, what's the best thing to do, but what's the most common mistake at your level that people make, which you don't see immediately coming, but you make it, or what's something to avoid when either preparing or analyzing, either preparing for next match or analyzing post game?
Well, for analyzing, we have already talked a little bit. I think that sometimes people don't pay attention to some of the moves where they make small inaccuracies or small mistakes, if we can say so. Also, I don't know if it's a mistake, but it's very interesting to talk about it. For example, earlier, how did people do? They played the game and then they were analyzing with their own head. And they were trying to come to the conclusion based on their own knowledge. Sometimes they were right, sometimes they were wrong. Now what do? After the game, we immediately run into the to check what computer tells us where we made a mistake. But at the same time, again, the computer tells you the move, but he doesn't tell you like why this is a mistake. Sometimes you realize it and sometimes you don't. So I think we should think more and try to explain to us the mistake rather than, because it will not help us that knight c5 was a better move than knight e5. We have to understand why knight c5 was better than knight e5. And speaking about the preparation, I don't think there are like mistakes or some things which are right to do, some things that are wrong to do, because there are so many approaches. Some people prepare a lot, some people try to prepare less to have more fresh head. Some people focus on one opening, some people focuses on many openings. So somebody works more on the depth and somebody is trying to cover more wider. And what is wrong, what is right, it's difficult to say. It depends on many things as well. So.
Thank you. And I just have one question coming here for young players today. What's one small daily habit that they can practice that can really improve their chess?
Sorry?
For young players today,
Yes.
up and coming, what's one small daily habit that they can practice every day which will improve their chess? I guess this could apply not just to those who are keen to be professionals, but also people who just like it.
Well, the thing that will really work on your calculation. We have talked about it today, but I think it's so important that it's not only for young players. It's important for all the levels, because even top grandmasters, we are still working on our calculation to keep our head working and so that during the game, because during the game, okay, we know some part, yeah, the opening part, but then we have to work on our own and we have to calculate a lot during the games. So I think working on calculation is really important, and it may seem it's easy to work on it. You just open the book or you go to some, you check some puzzles on the website. But I think people should take it more seriously, because some people will say, okay, I do 100 puzzle rushes, these quick tests, and still I'm not improving. And it's quite logical. It's not like you are not improving at all, but probably you're not improving so much because mainly what is in these puzzles, you are just it's just for speed. So basically you are trying to use the knowledge which you already have, and you don't get anything new. So I think you should be more serious about it. You should, or your coach, better if you have someone who can help you to select the puzzles that are good for your level. And I think the best ratio, is when you can solve maybe 75% within some logical time frame, like between 5 to 10 minutes for a puzzle. So in this case, it will be both. You will, while solving, you will be using the knowledge you have, but at the same time, it's not so easy. So you still have to look deeper and to calculate some new lines, and this will give you some new patterns. Yeah, I already see some notes in the chat that
Yes, we have time for, I guess, one more question. What to do when you know your position is good but not able to find the next move? That's often the case. Your position is so great, there's nothing more for you to do, and yet it's your move and the player keeps on playing. So the opposite player keeps on playing. So what to do then?
Again, it depends on the position. If you feel that there may be some tactical blow, then you are trying to obviously calculate it and to find it. If there is no move that can finish the game immediately, and you just have to improve your position, then you can think two ways, and you can actually combine them. So you can think about your own ideas, like what can you still improve in your position, or what can you do? And the second thing is what are your opponent's threats? So sometimes you can play against your opponent's ideas. And sometimes you are combining. There are some moves which are both improving your own position and also not allowing the plans which your opponents want to do. So I think this can be like some kind of an advice.